ever!
Where?
The Star Wars fanatic with a 35,000-piece collection that's taken over his entire house.
I've threatened him with skips before. One day he will push me too far if he doesn't change.
It has gotten out of hand.
Our next stop is London, where an ordinary family house is hiding a very extraordinary collection.
Star Wars is the ultimate story of good versus evil and good overcoming evil. It's the ultimate film for people of my generation.
But 41-year-old father of three, James, has taken it to the extreme.
This is James's collection, an estimated 35,000 Star Wars pieces, all hidden inside piles of brown boxes.
It's a bit of a shock to the system when anyone walks in and sees how much collection he's actually got.
Wife Sarah and their three children, Daniel, Yoni and Miriam, are literally living in a Star Wars storage facility.
The only rooms which is really not in are the bathrooms and the kitchen.
There are a lot of figures.
Star Wars Lego.
There are lightsabers.
About 10 or 12 of those.
Gentle giant busts.
Signed pieces.
Life-size props.
Got R2KT in Miriam's room.
And it's like an Aladdin's cave.
It is so chock-a-block. It's like Moscow at rush hour.
We're very much a Star Wars family. I just wish he didn't have so much of it.
As a collector myself, I can sympathise with the temptation to buy and buy and buy. But James's collection is out of control.
So Mark and I are coming to help James and Sarah find a way to live with the collection rather than under it.
Hey there. Hello, you James.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Mel.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Hello, James.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Go forth.
Oh my days.
Do you actually know what's in there?
Yes,
Every single thing?
pretty much.
I don't believe you. You can't possibly... How long did it take to fill this room? Despite two extensions built to house it all, the 35,000-piece collection has still engulfed the family home.
It goes on forever.
What? Where?
Mark, come and have a look. Get your head rested. How can you get to the stuff that's in here?
I can't. Obviously.
So why? What's it all doing there?
And worryingly, the boxes don't stop here.
Bedroom.
The bed
Is
in
it a
here.
bed? Does somebody sleep in?
The kids' bedrooms are under siege as well.
Right. Okay. Who lives here?
Daniel.
There's
My
more
eldest.
Star Wars than Daniel. This takes over the whole space. This takes over them. I mean,
Yeah.
this is their bedroom. My bedroom was my lair. It was my cave. It was my home.
Yeah.
You know, and all of a sudden there's Dad's stuff.
I can honestly say I've never seen anything like this. Sarah must be a saint.
Or she's just not putting her foot down.
Is it difficult to see the collection taking over your children's lives as well?
They're going to be Star Wars fans. They didn't really have a choice in that. It was inevitable. But I do worry about the impact it has because they don't have normal bedrooms. They have boxes of Star Wars stuff and it's not normal. And I do worry about the effect.
This is amassing, not collecting.
Now, what I've got in this room at the back there is a replica of that, and it's signed. It's got a plaque that's signed by Mark Hamill.
And that you can't even get to.
I can't get to it.
James, that's ridiculous.
But that's a key piece of
That's a key,
memorabilia. That
yeah.
should be on display somewhere. So how did it get so bad? James first began collecting when he was just 7 years old. But as a teenager, his collection didn't survive.
My parents got divorced in '86, and unfortunately, my dad destroyed all of my Star Wars collection. I'm sure he had his reasons because he was clearing out the house, and it was just one of those things.
I'm really sort of quite intrigued by what happened. I mean, your father threw away your collection.
Extensively, yes. So when I got our stuff back, it wasn't there, and I didn't speak to my father for a few years.
They've since made up, but it was a difficult time for 16-year-old James.
It was obviously a very, very painful experience that still is, still hurts me today. But that's life. You get on with it, pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and carry on as best you can.
Do you think this is part of the reason why you're just amassing everything? They're your items, it's your collection. You've got the control of it all.
There's obviously something like that that's harking me back.
James didn't begin collecting again for another 10 years.
I was in Southgate and there was an antique shop there which had some vintage figures in the window, and I went and bought him an Ewok, and it was just one Ewok.
That sort of re-sparked something that was laying dormant for many years.
I don't know how much he spent. I don't want to ask.
So how would you like the house to change? What would you like to see happening to your house?
I would like one room which would house his collection.
I do appreciate the fact that it has gotten out of hand.
I need there to be some commitment from him that when we get the house in order, and it has to be a when, not an if, because I've threatened him with skips before, and it, you know, one day he will push me too far. This is a family home, not a museum.
If he keeps it all in boxes, we might as well just throw it all away because it's just sitting there and doing nothing.
There's more at stake here than just the collection, and something needs to change.
You're not playing with it, you're not opening it up, you're not handling the actual goods inside. And aesthetically, you're not really getting a lot out of it either.
No.
So kind of on both fronts, it seems as if...
It's a waste at the moment. It's a waste. And we need to do something about
harsh,
it.
Though.
Well, at the moment, it's a pile of boxes, and it's not really a lot more.
Your home is a storage facility with boxes piled up into it. You need to turn it back into a home. Unable to see it, this collection is pointless. Not least because James has hit upon one of the world's most popular collectibles. Star Wars merchandise is not only big business, it's also earned its very own place in history. Whether you're a Luke Skywalker, Han Solo or Princess Leia fan, there are hardly any of us that haven't seen a Star Wars film. It's one of the most famous film franchises of all time. However, it's not just the movies that made big bucks. Since their first appearance in 1977, the films have revolutionised the toy industry. Movie tie-ins have been around since the very earliest days of cinema. As stars of the silver screen gained popularity and notoriety, theatres could purchase items such as pillowcases with photographs of the stars to give away to or sell to the public. And then of course there was Walt Disney and his big star, Mickey Mouse. But by the time Star Wars came along in the late 70s, the big toy companies had all but given up on movie memorabilia and simply weren't interested in making Star Wars toys. Even the distributors 20th Century Fox had no faith in the virtues of merchandising or even in the films themselves. In one of Hollywood's most famous deals, George Lucas agreed to a reduced salary in exchange for 40% of box office takings and all the merchandising rights. Lucas joined forces with toy manufacturers Kenner to produce a range of Star Wars figures. It was a partnership that would prove to be an enormous success. The marketing team initially had thought about producing a 12-inch figure, so very much like G.I. Joe in America and Action Man over here in the UK. However, they very quickly realised that a 12-inch Han Solo would require a 5-foot Millennium Falcon. They then turned to the president of Kenner, Bernie Loomis. His response was this, 3 3/4 inches. It was a new size of figure which kept manufacturing costs down, and that meant everybody could afford a little piece of Star Wars. And that was important for children, and of course their parents, because as well as aiming to collect the entire set, you could let your imagination run wild as you acted out your favourite scenes from the films. It was a whole new way to play, and today the 3 3/4 inch figure is very much the industry standard. Lucas and his friends had surprised everyone and surpassed all expectation. The marketing strategy and production of such a vast range of toys turned many a young boy into a collector. Driven by nostalgia, prices for these early vintage Star Wars pieces can be stratospheric. A set of the 12 original figures, mint on card and in exceptional condition, recently sold at auction for over £12,000. As of 2012, the Star Wars films have generated an estimated $4.4 billion in ticket sales, but that's compared to an estimated $20 billion worth of merchandising sales. Star Wars didn't just tell us about the exploits of an empire, it created an empire.
Star Wars fanatic James's 35,000-piece collection can't be enjoyed. It's piled up in boxes and has completely overrun his children's bedrooms. He knows it's out of control, but he's ready to make a change and convert the entire attic into a purpose-built showroom. So I'm taking James and wife Sarah to meet a fellow collector to see how a large collection can be balanced with a family home.
Hello. Yes, good to see
see you. Hi, Peter.
Come on in.
Hi.
Hello, this is...
Peter's die-cast van collection spans 22,000 items.
It's really beautiful, Peter.
A whole new collecting experience for you, James.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
unbelievable.
It's like an art gallery.
Yeah.
But wife Debbie has put her foot down. The collection stops on the stairs to the attic and comes no lower.
Just a few bits.
22,000, James.
22,000, okay.
So, James, what do you think?
It's amazing. So it's very organised.
It's a bit of a collection.
It is, but it's also well displayed.
Needs displaying. You need to see it. You need to be aware of what you've got.
Yes.
You said it. This is the total opposite to James's. The collection can be enjoyed and every available space has been used, even the sloping ceilings.
For me, to have the collection out on show is something that, you know,
It's great,
I want
isn't
to
it?
do.
It's
So
very
much
so.
pleasure.
Yes.
So
yes.
much pleasure.
And I think I'll
you know.
enjoy it a lot more.
You will.
Peter's love of vans began when he bought a life-size one more than 40 years ago.
I went to Spain and lived in the back of one for 13 months as a hippie on a
I'm loving
on
that.
a strawberry farm. You were there. Not actually in Spain, but you were of the 70s ilk, you know.
Well,
and
yeah,
you
and
know,
mainly 80s.
But we
Is this all taking you back then to those hippie days living in the back of the van?
part of it. Yeah.
Is that what it's about?
Yeah. No, everyone underestimates the van in movement.
How much do you reckon you've spent in total?
What a question that is. I don't know.
You can't put a value on it
You
because
can't
of...
put a balance sheet on enjoyment.
Yeah.
We're leaving the boys to it.
Is there a board behind there? So obviously you're not going directly into the...
I double plasterboarded that.
Right, okay, fine.
I want Sarah to see how the collection doesn't have to take over the whole house.
How did you manage to kind of mark out this territory so clearly?
I just said, I just don't want it everywhere in the house.
Yeah.
You know, I just want some areas that I can call my own, really. So
This is a mistake I've made. I clearly haven't been strict enough with that.
Do you think that's what it is? It's about
It really
being straight.
is.
I'll tell you, give him an inch. That's it.
How does it feel meeting a fellow collector's wife?
Good luck.
It's great. I'm very pleased that I can see how it could be at the other end.
Whilst Mel's been finding out how they can display the collection, I've been trying to work out exactly what's here. Most of the collection is from the late 1990s onwards. With many of his items produced in huge quantities, they don't command nearly as much value as the older late 1970s ones. But James has kept all his modern figures mint on card, pristine and preserved in their original packaging. And with duplicates and triplicates everywhere, selling them could bring in several £1,000s. And he does have some star items that should be out on display. But finding them all is impossible with the collection in this state.
Well, that's all about to change as we're taking drastic action. To get the attic converted into James's Star Wars haven, everything's going to be packed up and shipped out to a huge storage facility.
No matter how much wall space you've got, you'll need more.
Yeah.
At last, James can see beyond the boxes, and Sarah can see life without the boxes.
So what do you reckon?
It's amazing, absolutely amazing collection.
Beautifully displayed.
It looks cool, doesn't it?
Really cool.
I really like some of the ideas. I like the shelf in the middle. Really good food for thought.
I'm getting a bit excited now.
Moving everything is going to be a huge job for us. But for James, it's finally time to relinquish control. In London, it's removal day at James and Sarah's house.
It is huge.
It needs to be big.
It does need to be big, so exactly.
Everything must go so the building work in the attic can begin and the collection can be valued.
Until now, the flow has been in,
Yes.
one way only. We're about to reverse that and move everything out.
I'm so excited.
I've got a bad feeling about this.
Why?
No, it's just, you know, nervous, anxiety. You know, it is positive.
But with so many boxes, it's going to be a huge task.
What do you think about this, guys?
Oh, it's the first time I've ever seen anything quite like it, to be honest with you.
And a huge upheaval for James.
There was a loose figure that just went on the top. Just be careful with the bubbles.
Dad's been threatening to cancel.
Feels a bit nervous.
Your collection is in safe hands,
Yes, exactly.
James. Don't
exactly.
worry.
No,
it's in safe hands.
It's fine.
Deep breaths.
Yep, I'm absolutely fine.
Are you really?
Valium would be quite good right now. A Valium or drink.
I notice your voice has gone up a few octaves there.
I think we'll leave it at that for the moment.
No time to dwell, James. It's all happening today. Builder Stuart has arrived to work out how to get the collection out of boxes and on display.
The first challenge is space, of course. What are you thinking?
Is it this as well as what we've just seen?
It is, yes.
Wow, OK, you may have to get rid of some of it.
The plan is to renovate the attic into a purpose-built showroom, combined with storage units.
And I know you had some concerns about lighting, Mark.
I think we could either go for LED or halogen.
Yep.
And I believe it's LED that doesn't generate heat.
That's right.
And I think with plastic figures, you don't really want to introduce them to a lot of heat.
And most importantly, Sarah is putting her foot down.
This is it, isn't it? James has his boundaries set for the Star Wars collection.
It's this room, and outside on the landing, and going down the stairs, up to Miriam's door, and above her door, and that's it.
The boxes are gone. Everything's out, and now it's time for everyone to see the transformation.
Oh, wow.
Wow! This is so good.
Oh, wow.
It's so good!
Night, Dad.
Look at this space.
Last time, I think I probably touched the back wall. I think 6 years ago when I was 4.
What do you think of the space?
It's amazing.
It's really good.
Miriam's enjoying the space down there.
The Star Wars collection has all been moved to a 2,400 square foot storage space. And I want to show James and Sarah just how much stuff was stuffed into their home. I think they're in for a surprise.
Okay.
Welcome to your collection.
That's mad. It's absolutely mad.
Ridiculous.
It sort of questions why you need to do this, doesn't it? When you see a collection like this, why you need to have so much.
You don't need to have so much. You need to choose what you want to collect and stick to that.
Oh, 100%.
That's
100%.
what you need to do.
It's a positive step. James is starting to realise he doesn't need to have it all.
The hysteria really has set in, hasn't it now? The shock of it all.
We made the house bigger and squeezed the children into smaller and smaller spaces.
This is obscene.
Do you feel a bit ashamed of it as well?
I think I'm ashamed that I've let it get this far without stepping back and doing something about it.
Self-control is something you're going to have to exercise from now on.
100%.
See this? I'll put my foot down.
That's fine. It's absolutely fine.
An eye-opening experience all round. But there are signs James is becoming more of a collector and less of a hoarder. I can't wait to see everything displayed in all its glory.
And of course, find out how much it's all worth. There's one more person to see. It's been 6 weeks since James's 35,000-piece collection was removed from his house and the attic conversion began.
Seeing all of those boxes laid out was just an unbelievable moment. It has changed my whole outlook on collecting.
I didn't have the control before over what was coming into the house and how it was being displayed, and now I have that control back, and it's not going to take over the rest of the house again, because I won't let it.
Well, it looks the same from the outside.
It does indeed.
It's finally time for us to see the renovations and reveal just how much James's collection is worth.
Hello.
How are you?
Good to see you, James.
The empire begins on the staircase.
Oh my lord, I can see it.
James's mint-on-card figures line the walls like a piece of postmodern abstract artwork.
You can actually see the stuff.
Yes.
So is that the invisible barrier there?
Yes, just here and also above Miriam's door.
I think they look absolutely extraordinary. What do you think, guys?
I think it's great. I think it's absolutely brilliant. Sarah?
It's worked out so much better than we could ever have imagined.
But it's in the attic where the real change has taken place.
is beautiful. Look at it.
Goodness, it feels so big.
This is the room where the bunk beds were, isn't it?
Yeah.
Gone are the bunk beds and boxes, and in their place is LED lighting, glass shelves and plenty of storage.
Slightly freaked out by the bed ahead.
Even the sloping ceilings have been put to use.
Look at all these amazing things. They all look as if they're doing the thing that they were meant to do.
Yeah, they were made for display, not for storing in a box in a big pile in the corner of a room.
100%.
Whilst we're here, do you want to handle a lightsaber?
So when did you actually last handle these?
Some of them had never been opened.
How on earth could you leave it that long?
They were in a box, he couldn't get at them.
Says it all, doesn't it?
It does, it does.
It's an amazing contrast and a whole new attitude to collecting.
This whole process will change what I buy moving forward and how I buy, instead of buying 5 or 6. You know, just buy one thing because I actually like it.
Do you think you've turned into a different type of collector?
Yeah, definitely.
And would you see that as a progression?
Yes. Yes.
In what way?
It's growing up.
Are you proud of him?
I'm really proud of him. He's saying things that I never thought I'd hear him say.
So if it was like this, would you mind it growing a little more?
As long as it grows in the room. The line has been drawn.
James finally has the collection under control, and Sarah and the kids have their house back.
And even better, James is showing a commitment to keep it that way, as he's agreed to sell 29 boxes off at auction.
So come on, Mark, tell us what the whole collection's worth. James thinks he's spent between £25,000 and £30,000 on his Star Wars stuff.
We've had a specialist go through your collection, and we feel that if we were to put it into auction, it would fetch somewhere in the region of £45,000 to £55,000.
Okay, well, that's a good thing. It's nice to know that it hasn't gone down. That's really nice.
Does that make you happy, James?
I don't know what it makes me, to be honest, because I genuinely am not really bothered about the money side of it. I'm doing it because I enjoy it.
James has nearly doubled the money he spent, and the star item is his much-loved clone trooper. He's incredibly scarce. What is it, 5 of these were made?
That's right.
Only 5?
Only 5.
Our valuer thinks James could expect around £1,000, but with no previous sales as a benchmark, it could fetch far, far more.
There will always be more than 5 people who want to collect this. I mean, if 2 people get behind it, £3,000, £4,000, £5,000, they've never been seen for sale before on the open market.
But it's plastic bricks.
But the hands are movable, slightly.
No, it's fine. Oh.
Luckily for me, the money doesn't mean that much to James and Sarah. They've got their house back and a wonderful collection they can now enjoy.
I don't think either of us had any control over what was being collected. Now I know that we've got the control back. James has control, I have control. It's a better situation to be in.
I'm very, very happy that I've given the family the home back. I think that was very, very important. It was obviously selfish of me for what I was doing, and I think I needed a kick to break that cycle.
I can't remember the last time it was a proper family home, and now it's a proper family home again.
Our work here is done.
There we go. It's turned out nice again, hasn't it?
It has, actually.
Very Clement.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
We're not quite going to the dark side, but you can join Mel on Radio 4 Extra for the 4 o'clock show tomorrow.